Hello and welcome to Curated Conversations, a podcast developed by GRAAHI to both educate and empower our greater Grand Rapids community. My name is Ashley Jones, and I have the privilege today of having hopefully a transformational and candid conversation with someone that we know and love here at GRAAHI, Miss Deborah Clanton.
Hello, Ashley. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I am so excited to talk about the Restoring Health program. And I just love GRAAHI. I love this program, and I just love that I have the opportunity to share with you all today.
Yes, let's get to it.
Let's go.
We are really excited about this conversation because here for the month of February, we know that it is Black History Month. But additionally, this particular month is observed as a Heart Health Month. So there's a ton of information that we have the privilege of sharing today, and hopefully the pieces that you are able to find will be able to serve as an instance for you to make some lifestyle changes. So before we get started, Deb, you want to say hello once again?
Good afternoon, Ashley. I'm really glad to be here to talk about Heart Health Month and the Restoring Health program and how we help people in the community.
Beautiful. So before we jump into the program itself, I would love to just share a little bit of information with our community around actually heart health itself and some of the direct impact that it has. So statistically, it says that cardiovascular disease kills more than 50,000 Black women annually, and that stroke is a leading cause of death among Black women. So I know that that's kind of heavy to start with, but that also just kind of drives home the point of how important it is to be connected with programs and resources here in the Grand Rapids community, or even, you know, if they are tuning in from a different state, it's so important to just find out what resources you have around you, because your health essentially is your wealth. So we have to be very intentional about how we guard that, how we steward that, and how we just kind of prepare ourselves for the next generation to make even more healthy choices. So I want to talk a little bit more about our guest. We are so excited that she's here. So she is a retired district court magistrate and court administrator. She has served in a multitude of community organizations. She is a 50-year member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. She is also a past board member here of GRAAHI and is currently an active member of Messiah Baptist Church of GR. So again, welcome.
Thank you. It is so good to be here.
So we're going to jump right in. We know that, again, this is Heart Health Month. We're talking about the importance of it. But another statistic as we were kind of preparing that came to mind that I thought was important to share was just how much of an impact it has on women of color that are actually younger than most expect. You hear heart health, you hear stroke, you hear hypertension, and people ordinarily or even automatically assume that that's contributed to those that are more seasoned in our community. But my statistics show that among Black women ages 20 years and older, nearly 58% have high blood pressure, and only around 20% of those women have their blood pressure under control. So let's stop there for a second. They're saying that young women that are ages 20 or older, I'm 41. So that means that my son, who is 22, if it were my daughter, I, as his mother, or her mother, excuse me, could be concerned about that being an issue for her. And a lot of women, is saying even 39% of Black women who are aware of chest pain don't even realize that it could be signs of a heart attack. So when you hear statistics like that, like what kind of comes to mind for you?
It's frightening. Mm-hmm. I find it frightening, especially at those young ages, because it takes me back to when I was those ages. We didn't even think about heart health. It just wasn't an issue. It seemed like it was something for our grandmothers. Mm-hmm. Not even our mothers necessarily, but just thought of it as something for older people. And so it's I actually find it frightening.
Yeah.
And we need to do something about it.
I
Definitely.
agree.
We need to do something about it. 20 years old, that's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Unacceptable. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of statistics in our community unacceptable, quite frankly. But since we're on this one, the thing about it, it's a lot that can be done with it. You know, we shouldn't have to accept that. There are, like you said, resources and things that can be done, and even just from home. I mean, a matter of how you eat, how you move your body, exercise. I mean, it's things that you can do that can prevent this. Anybody can do more.
So as we were preparing for our time together, I remember we were talking briefly about how different things are now versus what they used to be. I know for myself growing up, like I was never in the house. I was always outside with my friends. And, you know, we kind of make a joke about you kind of knew where everybody was when you would ride around the block and you found whoever's yard had all the bikes is where everybody was at.
Exactly.
But like we were outside. We enjoyed the sun. We were running around. We weren't consumed with our, you know, smart devices or glued to a screen. It was like, hey, go to school, have recess, leave school, go home, hurry up and do your chores, hurry up and do your homework so that you could go outside and play. And we were outside until, you know, mom and daddy said, come in the house, it's time for dinner. Or somebody tried to be slick and like, hurry up and get to the house before the street lights was on. But yeah, my brother never made it back in time. He always got in trouble. So I always had to cover for him.
Okay, Ashley, you just said you're 41?
Yes.
Did you say? Okay, 41. I'm getting ready to be 70 in a couple months, okay? So think back to what we did back then. And honestly, walk to school. I know we hear that all the time when your parents say, oh, yeah, I had to walk 20 miles to school or whatever. We had to walk to school, okay? And it was not a short walk. I mean, I lived at Henry and Wealthy and had to walk to St. Andrews. You know where that's down on by Division.
Yeah.
That was a long walk for kids in third grade. Third grade, we walked.
That's a long walk
Yeah,
for people that don't walk now.
Exactly. Me and my brother. And how did we get to school on time? I had a system. You run a block and you walk a block. That was my system. And so a lot of things that were happening then are not taking place for our young people. But what kills me about it today is kids paying all this money for expensive gym shoes and don't want to get them dirty. They don't even want to walk in them. And now kids don't even want to bend them.
Yeah, we don't want to crease them.
Yeah, so that means we can't even walk in them too much. But basically, our kids spend too much time in the house, maybe watching TV, on video, definitely not walking or outside playing at the playground or walking to my cousin's house or, I mean, just activity. That's a big part of why we see a high increase in young people, I think. With heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, all of these chronic diseases they're seeing in young people.
Yeah.
Because of lack of activity and then also eating, eating improperly.
Oh, absolutely. I think diet is a major contributor.
Huge.
And then I would even go as far as to say, since we're talking about the eating component, there is this little thing. It's not really little, but this little thing called stress eating that is like a huge issue in itself because stress itself can directly impact your heart, can directly impact your, your blood pressure. It can directly impact every component of your life. Sometimes when people aren't, when they're stressed, they're not sleeping. When they're stressed, they're eating too much. When they're stressed, they're not eating enough. So there's to your point, there's an imbalance in the diet. It directly impacts the body. And also if you are eating a bunch of things that you should not be eating and you have younger children, you're kind of teaching them unhealthy habits, which can, unfortunately have impact later on in life. Especially us as women, we have to be very intentional about the examples that we show. Like in my house, I always tell my kids that the woman that I am is who my sons will look for in a mate and who my daughter will aspire to be. So if I'm teaching her unhealthy habits, then I am also giving her the responsibility of being the one to do the hard thing and hopefully, shift the paradigm of my family. But conversations like this, empowers me to be very intentional in making sure that as we're talking about heart health and we're talking about stress, we're talking about, blood pressure and things of that nature, that I'm very intentional about stewarding that time with her. And then also, others in the community, Do you think that some of the young adults in our community aren't taking advantage of opportunities like this to sit and talk with persons that have had experience in life to learn how to navigate our lives so they're less stressful, a little healthier, a little more disciplined,
Do I think that they're taking advantage of that opportunity?
or that we aren't?
Well, but do they even have the opportunity? Okay. And there are a lot of resources, we keep saying, but when you're depending on the age that we're talking about, if a lot of my information comes from my parent, and if my parent don't have the information or is not sharing the information, then a lot of it is not going to be transferred to the child. And I always, say that parents are children's real role models and mentors, not Michael Jordan. That's old. I shouldn't even go to Michael Jordan.
No, he's still he's still up there.
Baby, not LeBron, not Patrick Mahomes, who they see every day. Okay, so what are you as a parent showing your child, or what information are you giving your child? How are you feeding your child? That, like you said, is going to be the information that guides how they live their life. I always say you can't give what you don't have. So that's the only out I give them. You cannot pass on something that you yourself don't have, but you have the opportunity to gift that information. Your child may not have as much of an opportunity.
But you made a really good point about having access to information and being intentional about sharing. So I'd love to kind of pivot a little bit, because we, again, have talked about resources. We've talked about access to those resources in community. And one particular resource that I am so very, very excited about, which I am like really looking forward to this part of the conversation, is our Restoring Health program. That particular program, it is something that has been a godsend to some, because it has helped their lives transform in ways that they probably didn't even expect. And you have actually been not only coordinator of the program, but you've also been a participant of the program. And a little birdie told me that's kind of like how you fell in love with the whole thing to begin with. So I would love for you to just share with our viewers a little more about our Restoring Health program itself and some of the nuggets, and I'll just let you talk.
Okay, well, I love the Restoring Health program. We're going into our third year. But let me tell you how I got involved in the program. I actually was part of the very first group. And Deltas were a part of that very first group, because when they kicked it off, they needed a group right away to start. And I happened to be chair of the Delta Deers, the Delta 62 and older. And so I was asked if I could get a group. And so I asked those Delta Deers, and I was able to get at least 10, and they needed 14. And so we found some other people that we knew that participated. And so, but I was a participant, even though I helped bring in that first group. So I was really excited about it, because Ashley, I've always been active, always, exercise. 40 years I was working, I'd get up and exercise before I went to work. It's just a routine of mine. Tried to eat healthy, all that kind of stuff. So I was just into it, and just fell into something natural for me. But what also just fell in for me was the fact that as a participant, the person's who position I took, she ended up having to lead the program. And so I said, hey, let them know that I am interested in your job. And so I got the job. So, but the program, what I'm really excited about is the transformation that I have seen women make. And one of my primary roles has been to recruit women. And I say women, even though now we've been adding men, but we started out with women, doing all groups of women. And I've always looked for women that, put it like this, I wasn't trying to recruit people that were already active. We're talking about restoring. So in my mind and in the programs, the objective is to get people up and moving, and not just up and moving, but changing behavior, changing lifestyle, making healthy choices across the board, life choices. And I'm telling you, it's just amazing to see what has happened. I had no idea, and particularly when you sit down and hear when you're doing the pre-assessments and you hear and talk with women, you just had no idea what's going on and what shape some of us are in. Like that song says, I don't look like I've been through. Everybody don't really look like what they're dealing with. Thank God for that. But to see people coming there and A1C's going down, getting off heart medicine, high blood pressure medicine, coming in 3-4 days a week. And the one thing that happens all the time, can I get in the next program? Can I get into the next program? I mean, people are begging to stay on. They just want to stay on. But when you come into that building, you waving at people you go to church with, that you graduated with, that you went to high school, grade school. You know, you just seeing people that look like you, that in there working out 3-4 days a week. I mean, some people, honestly, I think what I figured out that's going on also, this is something that you just get up and do. I mean, this is something like we get up and have breakfast. I get up and I go to the crock because I'm going to see people and I'm going to do something healthy too.
It's a way of life.
Yes, it's a way
and
of
it's
life.
almost like I hear you saying that the Restoring Health program, not only is it restoring the health of the body, but it's also restoring health of the heart, meaning that it's either connecting or reconnecting people with community or with the village that they may have lost touch with. Because when you're getting ready to do things that are out of your norm or your new norm, you're creating one, like it can almost feel isolating when you're trying to do something, and especially if you're trying to do it alone. So it almost sounds like this particular program is bringing together a bunch of people who thought they were going to do this journey alone, only to find that we are all here to do this thing together, and it creates support, it creates encouragement, it creates accountability, which is a dirty word in some places. People don't like to hear the word accountability, but it's necessary for lifestyle. I won't even say change, I'll say transformation. You used that word earlier, because anything that changes can change back, but transformation is permanent. So I love that they come, and I love that they're like, hey, can I stay?
They like to stay. And now I'm going to just be honest, everybody doesn't stay, but we get a large portion that do stay.
Good.
You know, some people manage to fall back into old habits, but that is also one of the things that we talk about. You know, over that 14-week period, we start out with a pre-assessment and we do a post-assessment at the end. So we give them all that information,
so they know where they're starting
from, and then we do these same measurements at the end. What happens is, once we get all these measurements and this data together, we can focus on what you need to focus on. We go over this with you. We tell you where you are, but we let you decide what you want to do. We don't set your goals for you. We give you the information
and allow you to set your goals.
And we allow you to set, what is it I want to work on in this piece? You know, what do I want to do with the exercise? And then we will help you by making sure that you find the right machines or the right exercises that will focus on those areas that you want to improve.
Now, this is critical information, because for some people who they may not regularly go to their doctor, this kind of information helps people when they go see their doctor to go almost with a plan, because they can share out the stats that I got back from these quick practices that we had. And this says that my BMI is such and such. This says that I have this much body fat. I have this. So
and where it is.
And
also we give them a copy of it. It's not like, you know, they'll say, can I take this? We say, yeah, take this. Show it to your doctor.
And I also love that it helps the person that's a part of the class set their own goals.
Set your own goals.
So there's no pressure and there's no stress. But again, going back to the dirty word that we used, accountability, right? Exactly. The others that are in the cohort with you, they know what your goals are. So they're going to hold you accountable to, Hey, I didn't see you at the crack today. Hey, you said we were going walking. I didn't see you.
That's true.
Hey, you said that you weren't going to have as much sugar. What's going on with this coffee here with 5 creamers and 6 sugars?
Well, actually, there's a couple things about that. One thing we do is we tell people not to compare yourself with anybody in the class. Because everybody got something different going on, but I guarantee you everybody got something going on. So just because you see somebody, really lifting some weights or, moving fast on that bike, don't think, well, shoot, I have to do that or I got to compete. So we make sure people know this is no competition. And not that I'm saying that, because one thing we do is we do share, and that's in the classroom. And we do ask people to share what they want to share. And we will on the particular days early in the program when we're talking about goal setting, because that's something very early, because we want you to start on your goals. And so you can talk about what your goal is if you want to. And most of the women are pretty talkative. We have a men's group going on.
Not women. We don't talk a lot.
But I tell you, we had to really do a lot of pulling out the men and trying to get them not to be as competitive,
Yeah.
That's a man thing. But the women are much more open, and they were easy to share with. When you see, my God, what people have, how they have improved. But when you see their excitement, it's just unbelievable. I had no idea it would be like that. I just didn't. I get to see it more because I'm in on the assessments. And so I get to see how much each person improved. But then when we have our graduation, or even during the program, during the 14 weeks, we always have an opportunity for people to just, share something. And so they get to share information or achievements, or even sometimes it's about their grandkids. We'll say, what good information do you want to, share? What happened good this week? But they have the opportunity to say, how they've made improvements. And they are just so excited,
Our health is the only thing that we really can do something about, and how you spend the time doing it is all up to you. Time is the only currency that we never make more of. So I'm going to take control of my health. I am going to be intentional about my heart health, and I'm going to find out more about this Restoring Health program. I'm going to find out more about, what are the opportunities that there may be at GRAAHI or just in my community at large. And, to your previous point, I've had the privilege of sitting in on the graduation a few times, and just hearing them share in the room just what, their original expectation was like, okay, well, I'm going to come because Deb told me to come.
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
But then they find when they got there that Deb was really the conduit to their transformation, and they see that. And that is a beautiful thing, because, we want people to have a life that is full of joy, and that the quality of life, we really want to impact that. So, even though we're kind of focusing on heart health today, it's the whole body that is being restored, right? It is the mind, it's the body, it's the soul, it's all of that. So, GRAAHI and our partners, we look to position ourselves to undergird the community in that way, just to kind of wrap our arms around and almost be the hug that they didn't know they needed, or be the hug that they've been desperately seeking.
Right.
So I'm really excited about the Restoring Health program and your continuation to pull people in. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about some of what those topics are from week to week.
Okay. I have a list of the topics that we discuss each week, and these can change, but this is just a list that I brought from my notebook, and I added some of the things that we've kind of put in over the time. That's the one nice thing that I like about the program. We have been making changes each time. Anything that we see that we need to improve, or that can, build up on the program to meet a need, GRAAHI has been really, really good at providing whatever it is that we need.
Wonderful.
So,
viewers,
I love GRAAHI.
You hear that, viewers?
GRAAHI.
We love GRAAHI. It's not just me. Like, we love GRAAHI.
Well, just to take it a little bit further back, this program was actually started through the Croc, but they had to have community partners, and the Croc reached out to GRAAHI as a partner, but the Croc only had 1 year of funding.
Oh, wow.
So we're into year 3. So
That's
Vanessa Green she's good at what she does, and GRAAHI is good at what it does. But you all have provided the funding and all the other means for this program to carry on into year 3.
And that's so important, because one of the things that you just mentioned was about the Croc Center, and they were seeking partners. So that further validates the fact that, like, we cannot do this alone.
Exactly.
So again, we've been talking about the Restoring Health program and people needing a village to help them, you know, the support. GRAAHI partnering with the Croc Center and other organizations here, that's just one more way that we're showing the intentionality and the need for community to work together to serve community.
And I just want to interject another thing. The one lady I was focusing on that I said is the poster child. She is actually has some heart issues, and she has made a lot of improvement in that area, and regularly keeps many of us informed. Actually, I graduated from high school with her, but she has been able to get off some of that heart medication. I mean, really. So that underscores how important this particular program has been for her. She had no idea that her life would be changed the way it is.
I would love to just for a second kind of make sure that we bring a little bit of kind of highlight that fact a minute, because sometimes people think that medications are a permanent sentence. So they start to live their lives under the guise that if I'm on this med, I'll be on this med forever, and there's nothing that I can do about that. So you have just shown that just because you might have a heart concern, that does not mean that the medication has to be permanent. There are lifestyle changes that you can make, and remedies, that can seemingly, for the lack of a better word, almost undo, we'll say. I'm looking for the word remission. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Because it can, you know, just because today we're on medication for our heart or you're on medication for blood pressure, that does not have to be permanent.
Right.
It is possible to transform that diagnosis.
And maybe you don't get off, but maybe it's decreased.
Correct. And that's still a win.
Yeah, that's a win. That's a win. So there's a lot of things that we can do to increase
the longevity of our lives.
Longevity and basically the quality of life. That's what I'm looking for. How we can increase our quality of life. And exercise and nutrition is a big part of that. So, like I said, some of the topics we have are goals and values, like I said early on. And we go over the whole fitness floor so that people can understand all the machines that are in there. And we go to the pool. We talk about the food choice map, the food log. We ask people to log their food, particularly if you're here saying you want to lose weight. Then we want to see what you're eating, but not importantly, we want you to see what you're eating, because this food log is for you. You have
helps
to be,
identify triggers.
You have to be honest on the food log. Okay. Food choices, we cover that. Medicine and mobility. My plate. And we're talking about different portion sizes and the right foods. Sleep. A lot of us, particularly seniors, oh God, sleep disorders. I don't even want to go into that. But we talk about sleep, diabetes, and we even have a week that we call Let's Eat Together. So we have this wonderful week where we all just bring in our healthy dishes and recipes. And Ashley, you've been there.
Yes, I have.
You've seen it.
That's the day that I don't make, like, I make sure that I don't have lunch here. I just come eat. I come eat with everybody else.
You're talking about some wonderful food that's
really good stuff,
it's
too.
good, you know. And it's not all home cooked. People can buy if they want to, but we have a heck of a spread, and it's really, really nice. We have so much food. We're taking food home.
That's like my favorite one.
I know. So I think you actually planned that time as one of your weeks to come. And then we have changing behavior. So we talk about how you change behavior and habits and what it actually takes to sustain that. And then we talk about that big one, stress.
Yeah.
Stress, okay. And so we all living under some kind of stress and anxiety.
Which directly impacts your heart health.
And we talk about brain health. and heart health. And then we also have our graduation banquet.
Yeah.
Then we talk about, mental health issues,
Yes.
isolation, insulation. That's your area that you come in and do that amazing presentation. That's just what I have here. It's just an amazing program. I did want to mention, I don't have it on right now, but GRAAHI also provides a Fitbit, and that was really part of the impetus of the program, letting people's it talked about wearable technology. People are signed up to meet with one of the coaches. I'm one of the 3 coaches. And so we go over the people's goals with them weekly, and not just their goals, but other things that may be going on in their life. We try to spend about 30 minutes with them and just see where people are. We're not there to criticize or tell them what to do. We are there to encourage them and to help if there's anything that we can do. And it's not always just about what we see in the program. We've been able to help people get rides to places, to connect them to other resources in the community. So we just try to help people and meet them where they are. So, but that wearable technology is a great thing, and we do have some fun with that.
Yeah. I love everything about the topics that you kind of briefly went through, because each one of those topics in some way or another are directly connected to what some of the preventative measures are related to heart health. So, really quickly, they kind of give you high level of what you should do to prevent heart disease or hypertension, high blood pressure, things of that nature, or being at risk for a stroke. So each of those classes either connect in some capacity to the prevention methods, of not smoking. That's a major one. They say don't smoke. To eat a low in saturated fat and salt diet. So
and we talk a lot about diet and nutrition, and those are the kinds of things we talk about. We get into the nitty gritty of it.
Another one of the preventative measures would be to reduce and manage stress, which we talk about that, the stress class itself, and then talking about the insulation versus isolation. There's a stress component for that particular week as well. Monitoring and controlling your blood pressure, the Fitbits, they help with that. They get you aware of like, oh, okay, this is what's happening with my heart. This is what's happening with my body. Get good sleep. That's another preventative measure.
The Fitbit helps with that.
See?
The Fitbit actually tells you how many hours you slept, but not only how many hours, what kind of sleep. Are you getting light sleep, deep sleep, restless sleep? And it actually tells you what times of the night you're getting that. So it's a great Fitbit.
That's a huge resource.
Yeah, I love it. Except the only thing about it for me is it's stressful knowing that I'm not getting no sleep. So I'm just going to be honest. I had to take it off because I already knew I wasn't getting any sleep. But now you confirming it, I don't need that. Sorry.
So side note, viewers, don't stress over not getting sleep because you're not sleeping and you're stressed and it's increasing. So we don't want to do it.
I mean, it's fine for some people, but for me personally, it's TMI. Come on, you causing me more stress. I know I don't sleep.
One of the major preventative measures, which we've talked about throughout this whole thing, would be to exercise at least 30 minutes a day. So your Fitbit can track your steps. You can come to the croc. You can now, I guess we're supposed to get an early spring. I don't really know what that means in Michigan, but we'll try it.
Punks of Tony Field said.
We'll see.
That's the groundhog, in case you didn't know that.
So maybe we can go outside a little sooner. But those are all preventative measures. And, there are others that, persons can get the information, by going to our website and finding out about some of those other, methods of prevention. Yes. The different things that we've talked about, and one very important one we want to always remember is that according to the American Heart Association, they're suggesting that we have at least 30 minutes a day of exercise at least 5 days a week. So we're saying if you just get up every day and walk for 30 minutes, maybe at the croc, maybe outside, that right there in itself could give you exactly what you're looking for as far as the fitness activity to help prevent stroke, help prevent heart disease, help prevent stress. It's a great way to decompress. Just go out to Reed's Lake and take a stroll.
But one thing we have to keep in mind, Ashley, everybody can't walk.
Correct.
We've had a couple people in the program on walkers.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a person in the program in a wheelchair. So we meet people where they are.
Right.
You can actually exercise, get good cardio exercise sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing we need to keep in mind, that, no matter where you are at this point in your life, you can move forward.
Mm-hmm. So there's movement.
There is movement. There's
so
movement
viewers,
that can be done.
There are always ways to move around.
And another thing that I want to throw out here, because I share with participants in the class, if you go on YouTube senior exercises, a whole bunch of stuff come up. All this stuff pops up. And I mean, it's everything for all levels and different amounts of time, 10 minutes. So even though it says 30 minutes a day, maybe you can't do 30 minutes a day, but can you start at 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Can you start at 5 minutes? When you go on that, you'll find everything. But the important thing is to start where you are and move forward.
Move forward.
And then you increase. You increase as you go. It's good to get good aerobic exercise. But another thing that we also emphasize is weight training. And when I say weight training, I'm not talking about bodybuilding. I'm talking about just picking up, even if you don't have any weights, picking up
a can
of soup. We stress cardio and muscle because that's another thing that's really, really important. The heart is a muscle.
Yeah.
So, that heart needs exercise.
Yes.
And so we also, as seniors, it's very important for our bone and our structure, our skeletal structure, to have muscle on it. And a lot of fat, more fat than muscle, is not good. So we focus on both of those. Yeah. Those are two primary areas of focus, but they're both equally as important. So when you're getting your 30 minutes a day, say maybe you only do 20 minutes or 15 minutes of cardio and you do 15 minutes of weight, or maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes. But the important thing is that you try to build both of those components because the heart is a muscle.
It is a muscle.
And so it needs that cardio. It needs that workout.
Yeah.
And we need that muscle movement. We need toning
and
fitness.
And we need people to do this because we need them to be here with us. We are talking about
with their families.
Yes,
with their families.
In a better quality of life, because we're looking for longevity and we're looking for mothers and fathers to become grandmothers and grandfathers who become great grandmothers and great grandfathers. So that's a beautiful legacy to leave behind, one of health and wellness in that regard.
And then to tie it back to our kids, if you're starting to do some exercise, include your kid in it.
Yes.
So your kid can get exercise too, and that's such a great way of bonding.
But including your children, that is a major way. And what that does is it directly impacts that horrible statistic that we talked about earlier about, young women ages 20 and older having 58%, So throughout this broadcast, we've had an opportunity just to talk about a myriad of things concerning heart health, the importance of it, the statistics, resources, and our Restoring Health program, some of the insight that you've shared with us. So we also want to make sure that the community knows that one of the major things would be to connect with a primary care physician. If you don't have one, there are a multitude of them that are available through both Corewell and Trinity Health, for example. But if you are uninsured, underinsured, or even have insurance, we have Catherine's Health, we have Exalta Health, we have Cherry Health, and then there are even others in the community that are directly accessible in our community. So if you're looking for information around connecting to a PCP, if you're looking for more information around our Restoring Health program, if you're looking for more information around some of our other chronic diseases and health priorities, all of this information can definitely be found on our website at www.graahi.org. So before we go, is there anything else that you want to share with our people?
Yes, there are. And I was just thinking, particularly from the recruiter standpoint, I'm looking for people that want to have some structure.
Yes.
Because that's another part of it, is just some people just don't know what to do. So we can help them get some structure in their life in this area, in exercise and nutrition. You need to be able to have some control of your schedule, because I also want, if we say a 14-week program, I'm not looking for people to say, well, I got a 4-week cruise. I don't know who goes on cruises for 4 weeks, but
We know a few people.
Yeah, okay. But if you're going to be out for surgery, then this may not be the time.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, things happen. Now,
Right.
things do happen that none of us have any control over. But if you see yourself as being a person that might benefit from this program and be interested, call the number or contact the number on the link. Other thing that I mentioned is that we were primarily doing women. Well, now we're doing a men's group. We've done one men's group, and our next group, which is starting on March 6th, we're doing our first cohort of men and women.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we're going to check that out.
Wives, bring your husbands. Husbands, bring your wives.
That when you say wives, bring your husbands, and our first group of men, most of the men were there because of their wives. And that was so funny. And I had to let men know, statistics say married men live longer. Now we know why. Because of wives. They take care of them. These wives, you two guys over there that's not married probably, now you get you a wife. If you want to live long, get you a wife.
Okay, listeners, you heard it from Deb Clanton, the community connector, said, get yourself a spouse.
Get yourself a wife. Yeah. Wives, do not stress you out, I promise. Don't talk to my husband. Do not talk to him. But wives, do not stress you out. But also, we have our first graduate group. I told you all those people who have been saying, can we stay? Can we stay? So we're starting our first graduate group on March 7th.
Okay.
And the thing about the graduate group is we're next level. We sat and talked with you and helped you with the exercises for 14 weeks. Now we're expecting application. The other thing I want to mention is with the weather changing, everything won't be in the crock.
Good.
Because I love getting out on the
get
trail.
some fresh air.
Yes, get out on the trail. I love getting on my bike, getting out walking the dog. And so there's a number of things. Walking your children or grandchildren, not on the telephone. But, so there will be a lot of outside activity, but that's exercise.
Good.
It's good exercise. So it's not going to always be you have to come inside. No, it's get out and enjoy that fresh air, because that's also good for the heart.
It's so good for the heart. Deb, thank you so very much for sharing your genius. Thank you for taking time to chit chat with us. And we appreciate all that you are doing for not only GRAAHI, but the community at large.
Thank you giving me this opportunity. I truly love the program. I'm so glad I've had the opportunity to work. It's really, I call it work because I get a paycheck. But the great thing about it is I'm working in a facility that I too can exercise in. So it also allows me to benefit. And I've always loved exercise, so it just works for me totally. And then get to socialize and work with GRAAHI, so hey, what more can you ask for?
Wonderful. Thank you again. For anyone that's looking for additional information related to heart disease or any of their other chronic diseases, also our Restoring Health program, again, you can find information and resources on our website at www.graahi.org. This has been Curated Conversations. I am your host, Ashley Jones, our beautiful guest, Deborah Clanton, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.